Hey everyone, it's Pastor Josh here. I want to welcome you to another Anthem Online. We're so glad that you have chosen to join with us, to worship with us. Go ahead and put in the comments where you are watching from. I know there's some people from Canada, here in the U.S., from all over. So go ahead and let us know where you're watching from with your family. A couple things coming up. We're actually having our Nurses Appreciation Saturday, where we're going to be appreciating our nurses, celebrating what they have done, also what they've been through, partnering with them. So we're excited to be doing that as a church. As a church, we want to continue to step out beyond the walls of just here in this space, step out the walls, step beyond into the walls, beyond these walls into our community, into our hospital, to our university, and to the city of Loma Linda. So we're really excited about what the future holds for that. So as we begin to worship, gather around with your family, your friends, and begin to turn your hearts towards God and be thankful for what He has done for you and for us and for this community. So we love you guys. Let's worship together.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever see. We live for you. We live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Fill me with your love. There is none like you. We praise you, God. We praise you, God. We see you.
Sing it with conviction now. Come on, clap your hands. Raise your worship to Him.
And I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. And I will put my trust in you alone. And
nurse, what keeps you coming back?
Oh man, I feel like it's not a simple answer, but I could say definitely the people, the patients, their stories, their experiences, but also my coworkers.
I get to be an advocate for people who don't have a voice, and there's been times where I had mothers who were scared and didn't have a doctor listening to them, and I got to help them find their voice and ask questions so they could get medical care that they were comfortable with.
It's not very often, but there's always a couple times where there's patients that, as we're running out of the room, they stop us and just say, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. Good job, good work, keep it up.
I feel very blessed and privileged to be in a position to help and support my patients and their families in some of the toughest times of their lives. But honestly, one of the biggest things that keeps me coming back is the team that I work with. They're like my family.
You can get to work with your team, the doctors, nurses, OTs, PTs. You kind of get a mix of working with everyone. So it's just really cool to be able to experience that.
What keeps me coming back is my love for my little babies who are my patients. But I also really love getting to know their parents so that when those little people go home with their families, that those parents feel comfortable taking care of the little one.
What keeps me coming day after day is my passion for people and the ability to connect on a personal level.
Usually the patients that I work with, they came from ICU. I think what keeps me going is watching them progress to being able to be discharged and getting them well again.
To be honest, it's the only thing I'm trained to do, so there are a lot of good people in the world, and I do enjoy meeting people, and I love learning new things, and so there's plenty to learn in nursing. Every day I learn something new.
So for me, there was a time when my own family kept having to go in and out of the hospital. It really frustrated me knowing that I was on the outside, not being able to do anything to help out. And so for me as a nurse, I get to be part of that treatment. They get to go home and they're just feeling so much healthier again.
It's being the person that's able to provide the small things for my patients, whether that's hygiene or being the listening ear, or being the person that gets to hold their hands when family aren't able to be there. Especially these last few years, it's been really tough on both patients and families, and knowing that I can provide the little things has really been what keeps me coming back.
I keep coming back because I like being able to use my life and my journey to help other people with their mental health journey.
Even after having a bad day, there's always a child who will have a smile on their face, or someone who's been going through treatment and they have a positive outlook. But even on my worst days, there's always someone I can reach out to. So that's what keeps me coming back.
I feel them falling like raindrops upon my face. Another morning I whisper, I need your grace. I didn't know I'd be walking into a storm. When is the cavalry coming? My courage is worn. Somebody turn on the lights now so I can see. Through the darkness we battle what we cannot see. I'm in the valley of the shadow of death I fear. Father, fill me with faith so I know you're here. And when the arrow flies, shield me so that I keep on standing. Help me see the light. Lead me through the night to keep on standing. I'm praying, Father in heaven, thy kingdom come. This world is cold and so broken. We need your Son. I know that love, it can lead us to find a way. Have we forgotten ourselves along the way? I'm praying, Father, for mercy. We need your grace. Instead of looking for normal, I'll seek your face. Because I believe in a peace, how sweet the sound. I want to walk on the water and never drown. And when the oceans rise, hold me so that I'll keep on standing. Father, hear my cry. Listen so that I can keep on standing. And when I lose my way, let me hear you say, keep on standing. I pray it won't be long until I'll sing this song, Keep on Standing. I wrote those words in December of 2020. It was the height of the COVID surge in Southern California, and things were chaotic in the hospital. I remember reading a post written by a coworker in the emergency department after a particularly tough night shift. Her post read, "It was the first time in my career that I didn't think we would be able to take care of every patient who came through the doors of the ER." The reality of nursing over the past several years has been a challenging one. And as we pause to recognize nurses, the most fitting title I could think of was "The Courage to See Hope." Joshua was one of those people in the Bible who had the courage to see hope. The children of Israel had just been delivered from 400 years of captivity with the promise that God would give them Canaan as their own land. Joshua was one of 12 spies sent into Canaan to observe the land and its people. Their job was to bring back a report of what they saw. 10 of those 12 spies allowed the reality of what they saw to blind their hope. Numbers 13, 27, and 28 is the account of those spies. They told Moses, "We went to the land where you sent us. It does flow with milk and honey. This is its fruit. But the people who live in the land are strong. The cities have walls and are very large." Verse 31, "We are not able to go against the people. They are too strong for us." So they brought the people of Israel bad news about the land they had spied out, saying, "The land we have gone to spy out is a land that destroys those who go there to live." Joshua had the courage to see hope. Numbers 14, 6 through 9. "And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh tore their clothes. They were among those who had spied out the land. They said to all the people of Israel, 'The land we passed through to spy out is a very good land. If the Lord is pleased with us, then he will bring us into the land and give it to us. It is a land that flows with milk and honey. Only do not go against the Lord and do not be afraid of the people of the land.'" It takes courage to see hope. And that hope has been challenged over the past 2.5 years. And when hope is challenged, it's important to remember the story. It's important to remember the why. And I'd like to share my story with you. January 6th, 2012. I made a decision that changed the course of my life. Prior to that point, my goal in life was to become a famous musician, sell out shows, and to make a name for myself. By 2012, this goal was starting to take shape. I finished my debut pop album, received international tour funding, and was supported by Grammy Award-winning musicians. There was only one problem. I wasn't at peace with the direction that I was heading. I discovered talent, but I still lacked purpose and had a deep desire to uncover meaning in my life. On January 6, 2012, I made a phone call to return my tour funding, cancel my album, and step away from music. My search for purpose led me to nursing. I wanted to do something where my hands were directly connected to purpose, and the patient-provider relationship provided through nursing resonated with me. My first job out of school was as an emergency trauma nurse here at Loma Linda University Medical Center. Early on in my training, someone casually said to me, "You're so positive. Give it 3 years and we'll see if you still have that optimism." As if to infer that the reality of the setting I had chosen would destroy it. That statement shook me. How could I preserve hope and optimism in an environment that constantly reminded me of the challenges of reality? It seems appropriate to talk about hope when things are not that bad. But what happens when the reality of a situation overwhelms our ability to see hope? I was confronted by this question after the death of my first patient in trauma. I looked at the lifeless body of a person who had just a few hours earlier been talking to me, and I asked the question, does hope still remain? In that moment, the reality of my patient's death challenged my hope and optimism. Was that coworker right that told me I might see things different after a few years? Was it just a matter of time until my naive optimism faded into a hardened reality that better reflected the circumstances? It took me time to process that experience, but what I realized was it takes courage to see hope. Dr. John Allen, senior staff psychologist at Menninger Clinic in Houston, describes the difference between wishing and hopefulness. Wishing is ubiquitous, but it can be a kind of escape from reality. Hope is different because it has to do with facing reality. Charles Snyder's hope theory says it this way: hope does not necessarily fade in the face of adversity. In fact, hope often endures despite poverty, war, and famine. While no one is exempt from experiencing challenges in life, hope fosters an orientation to life that allows a grounded and optimistic outlook, even in the most challenging of circumstances. As an ER trauma nurse, I was on the front lines during COVID, and I would categorize what we collectively experienced in healthcare as some of the most challenging circumstances. 2.5 years later, I ask again, does hope remain? Statistics point to record amounts of burnout, stress, anxiety impacting nurses and other healthcare workers. The world is broken, divided, at war, and feels cold. It takes courage to see hope in the face of this reality. Joshua also found himself in a challenging reality. Instead of going into the promised land, the Israelites would stay in the wilderness for 40 more years. During those years, I can only imagine that Joshua asked the question, does hope still remain? Despite that challenging reality, Joshua continued to choose the courage to see hope. Ultimately, this led to the reality of him leading the Israelites into Canaan 40 years later. It's in that moment that God speaks these words to Joshua found in Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua was willing to go into the place where God led him, but it wasn't his strength that made him successful. It was the knowledge and faith that God would go with him. There are 3 lessons I've learned over the past few years that I want to share. Number 1, we need each other. According to the article Hope, the Critical Factor in Recovery, written by Susan Adams and Deborah Partee, support is a critical factor in the development of hope. While an absence of support can lead to isolation, hopelessness, and lack of motivation, an individual with a solid support network is better able to imagine positive possibilities. Lesson number 2, it's in the little things. I wrote a song after losing my first patient that has stuck with me ever since. It became my foundational statement that got me through my 6 years in the emergency department. I've seen life fading away. I've seen death try and take it away. I've seen pain drop a tear on a face, but in all that I've seen, love remains. I've seen hope from the depth of despair. I've seen peace come from nowhere. I've seen grace wash the deepest of stains, and everything that I've seen, love remains. People would always tell me, just wait and see. When you get a little older, the world will be darker, like the stains on a window pane. But I can see through the stains, and love still remains. Hope can never be blotted out. It will always remain. And it's always in the little things if you look. But it takes courage to see hope. And number 3, your courage to see hope will become the hope for someone else. God calls each of us to have the courage to see hope, just like to Joshua, God says to us, be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. The reason he commands this is because of what he promises at the end of the verse. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. I want to sing that song, Love Remains, that I wrote about that first patient.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, battered and broken hearted, oh, but now I see something amazing. Something amazing, something amazing, oh, amazing grace that set me free. I've seen life slowly fading away. I've seen death trying to take it away. I've seen pain drop a tear on her face, but in all I've seen love remains. Love remains, yeah. I've seen hope, oh, from the depth of despair. I've seen peace coming out from nowhere. I've seen grace wash the deepest of stains. See, you know, I've seen love remain. You see, people always told me just wait and see. When you get a little older, the world will be darker like the stain on a window pane. But I can see through the stain. Love remains. Love remains, yeah. You see, people always told me just wait and see. When you get a little older, the world will be darker like the stain on a window pane. But I can see through the stain. Love remains through the stain. I can see through the stain. Love remains. Love remains. Love remains. Love remains. Ooh. Love remains. Love remains. Love remains. Love remains. Ooh. Love remains. Love remains.
Hey, we hope you were blessed by what happened here at Anthem today. We hope that you're able to go live it out in the world. A couple things that we want to let you know before we leave today is that you can give online. You can do a couple ways to partner with us financially. You can text LLUC to the number on your screen, or you can go to lluc.org/give, where you'll be able to choose the Anthem tab, and you can choose reoccurring giving, and this just helps us to be able to continue doing the ministry that we're doing here. Also, follow along with the many things that are happening here. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and stay connected with what's happening here at Anthem. So, hey, guys, we love you. We'll see you next week, and we hope you have a blessed week.